seems like you're gonna live forever, but wait a few years and everything's gonna change. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are out here in Big Sur, California, driving a 2012 Audi S4. We got the V6 turbocharged with the 7-speed automatic transmission. Actually not a bad car for these windy, gentle Highway 1 roads. But we're not talking about a car review today. We're talking about some other things that I feel are important. I just spent a couple days at Alila Ventana Big Sur, beautiful resort, and it's a nice way to reset, especially if you have workaholic tendencies like I do. And it got me thinking about the idea of work-life balance. And we often think of this, well, I guess there's two camps. The two camps are normally either one, you work hard because you're all about that delayed gratification, you derive a lot of your self-worth and sense of purpose from something professional, your achievements, your accomplishments, your work, the impact you have through your businesses or through your 9-to-5 job. Or on the other end, you say, hey, I want to enjoy life. Life is meant to be enjoyed. I don't want to work too hard. I don't need to be the richest guy, the most successful person, whatever. I just want to have a balanced, good, happy life. And the thing here to keep in mind is that there is no right or wrong answer. You can always change that wherever you lie on that balance. Now for those who don't know, for those who don't watch my other two YouTube channels, Kevin Jubbal MD or Med School Insiders, I am very much on the side of working a lot, taking a lot of my meaning and purpose and self-worth from that. And I think there's good that comes from that, and that you generally can push yourself harder, accomplish higher levels of achievement. But the downside obviously being that there's more to life. Unless you're the kind of person who really does derive so much joy and pleasure from work that you never want to stop. And there are those people out there, but they're very rare. But the key thing I want to highlight there is that there is no right, there is no wrong. And it's also okay to change your mind at any point in that process. The way that I approach work and the relationship I have with it now at 32 is a lot different than when I was 25. And it's a lot different than when I was 18. And it's fine for things to keep changing. You don't have to have the answer, and you need to be okay with that level of uncertainty. Based on what I want out of life, I do want to have a pretty dope garage with some dope cars. I do find a lot of purpose and satisfaction from entrepreneurship, from my businesses, especially the medical education side. I can see the impact on people. I can see the way that it's changing lives. With the car channel, not so much. The car channel, I feel, is more just an indulgence for myself. It's a little bit hedonistic in the sense that I love driving. I love connecting with other people. I like the pleasures of being behind the wheel. And it's more of a passion project. And then we get to the idea of do what you love, and it's never going to feel like a day of work. And I disagree with that, because let's say car reviews as an example. I attended my first ever press event in Texas a few weeks back, and talking to some of the journalists there, as well as some other journalists that I've just met through YouTube, a lot of people have said the same thing, which is the more you do this, be careful not to get jaded. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people are car enthusiasts. They start this because they love cars. But anytime you make your passion, your hobby, your full-time gig, your primary means of income, what puts food on the table, then you're setting yourself up for a situation where you are going to have to push harder and harder and do work and say yes to work that you may not normally say yes to, you may not be excited about, to the point where it starts losing its magic, its luster, and it becomes a little bit more tedious, and you grow cynical. So I'm approaching cars, and I've dabbled a bit here and there with non-enthusiast cars because I'm kind of curious about it. But for me, I have that flexibility to say Jubbal in cars is always going to be just a passion project, something for fun. And while I do get some level of satisfaction and enjoyment out of trying to hack the algorithms and try to grow this business and be strategic with it and yada yada yada, at the end of the day, if I'm reviewing cars that I'm not excited about, it's not worth it. Because I literally make a couple $100s per month off of this channel, but I pay my editors much more than that. So I'm losing money in this channel. Eventually we will break even, eventually we will be profitable. I'm confident about that. I don't know when, but if I was doing all this effort to turn a profit, there are so many other ways I could do that. I could spend more time building Medical Insiders or my personal brand and have a much higher ROI. So if you're considering your own passion project, I urge you to be very mindful as to how you approach it. If you want it to be something that truly is just for fun, then don't assign that level of significance and burden where you need to make all your living from that project, because the magic will be sapped. The other thing that comes up is, it must be nice. I hear a lot of people complaining about others where, oh, that person, their dad is a car enthusiast and their dad has a Porsche this and a Porsche that, and it must be nice being a car vlogger that has all these supercars and doesn't seem to have to work that hard, yada, yada, yada. You're right. Like, no one can actually tell you that you're wrong in complaining about whatever hardships you have. But as I said in a YouTube video on the Medical Insiders channel so many years ago, so what? You can complain about things, but it doesn't serve you. And what is the significance? So what that you weren't given the best hand, right? It's not about the hand that you were dealt, it's about how you play them. But so what? Are you gonna just go around, tell every person you've ever met, hey, you know what? Don't judge me based on this, this, or this because I had a hard life. No. Be an inspiration, work hard, accomplish whatever your goals are so that other people who could possibly have it worse than you, because I guarantee there have been people that had it worse than you, yet accomplished more, that did more, that had a better life. So that can't be the only excuse. Is it harder? Sure. But that doesn't mean that it's a valid excuse that you can hide behind for the rest of your life. And that's one thing that I feel year after year gets more and more prevalent. And I talk about this again on both my other channels because it's something that I'm very passionate about. Look, I'm not the most successful guy. I drive a Mazda CX-50, a GR86, and sure, I have a Lotus Emira on the way. But when you look at these other people that have their supercars, their Lambos, their Ferraris, I am but a peasant. But it's not a competition with other people, it's a competition with yourself. And if you focus on where you started and you focus on where you're going, you ask yourself, are you happy with your trajectory? Are you happy with where you're going? Are you learning that process? And again, there's no right or wrong here because you can decide when you want to stop. I remember when I was younger, there was a figure in my mind, like X number of dollars per year. Man, that would be such a baller-ass life. And then you hit that, and you're like, that's not as much as I thought. And then you hit 2X that dollar amount. Whatever that X can be, whatever dollar amount it is for you. What I'm trying to get at is that the goalposts, they keep moving further and further and further. And becoming more successful is not going to address that hole, right? You're gonna have to fill that through other means. And some people find that by just working harder and harder, and they keep raising the goalposts. And some people do actually find a lot of joy from that. Other people, like, I'm not one of those people. I do enjoy my work, but I don't want my work to be my entire life. I want to be able to enjoy my life. I want to go to the racetrack more often. I want to travel more. Going to Ventana Big Sur these last few days has been such a nice and calibrating escape where you can zoom out and not be in the day-to-day, the trenches of work, but kind of remind yourself what else there is to life, right? And if that's the case, then you need to set your own goals, your own systems, your own milestones. And for me, that's saying, hey, you know what? I don't need to have the biggest, baddest, whatever business, but I want to have a certain level of business. I want to have a certain level of free time. I want to have a certain level of focus on my physical health, weight training, cardio, a certain level of time with my friends and family. And I think most people are going to find themselves somewhere in that middle ground. Not at one of the extremes, but where they want a balance of a certain level of professional success, a certain level of free time, a certain level of that work-life balance that is also elusive. Something happened when I was in my mid to late 20s, sometime around 27, 28, where time just seemed to have doubled in the rate of progress. So I would blink and a year would pass me by. This is pre-pandemic. And they've actually found that they've done these rudimentary studies looking at people as they age, And the older you get, the faster time seems to pass. So if you're younger, if you're 18, 20, I understand that it seems like you're gonna live forever. But wait a few years and everything's gonna change. And the finiteness of life, not only of your own, but also your loved ones. As your parents age, your friends and family, you'll start having friends that pass. It really hits you different. And for a lot of us, myself included, when you have that quarter-life crisis, you start looking at things like, how do you want to spend your time? This very limited time we have. Because in the grand scheme of things, it is but a speck. It is but a speck of time. And of course, work-life balance is a big part of that. Anyways, my friends, that is it for today's rant. Thank you all so much for watching. Much love. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to follow some of the shenanigans I've been up to, including this beautiful trip to Alila Ventana Big Sur, then check me out on Instagram at KevinJubbalMD. You can also follow my car Instagram at JubbalNCars. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you guys in that next one.